We're dropping the transmission and transfer case out of the Suburban here because, you know, it's about time. I just realized something. Why did I choose a day where it was raining to be outside dropping a transmission and a transfer case out of a truck? I should have thought this one through a lot better. So we're gonna drop everything out of it, so even the drive shaft too. So I guess the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna disconnect the drive shaft back here, and I probably should hang on to this. Might need it, might not. I don't know. But either way, we'll do that. And yeah, we gotta. What is this? Is that the fuel line? What the hell is it? Yikes! Drive shaft's out of it. Flops around pretty freely. One thing you want to do is, since it's the parts truck, in case if you need this weird thing called parts, you want to make sure that the parts don't get lost. So we're gonna put these back in there and not throw them all the way in, but at least throw them in so you know they're in there. So, you know, for whatever reason I was to need them, which I don't think I'm going to, because I think I want to say the U-joints and the yokes are different sizes from the lighter duty trucks to the heavier duty trucks, because I had that issue before. But just don't lose any of the hardware, because it would be silly and you're going to be mad. That's there. Now we need to go up there and drop that thinger and thing in front of it. So, those look enjoyable. Those are gonna be you know I mentioned before that I was thinking about throwing the drivetrain in this and making it a woods beater just for shits and giggles, but when it's that ugly underneath, you come to a point in life where it's not worth your time. So yeah, she's probably gonna go to the scrapyard. So what's the struggle of not having a lift? Well, the thing is practically on top of me, and I decided to set my ratchet over there. Come here. Come. Hold on. Oh. And why am I doing this in the rain? I have yet to figure that one out. Can I like move around in here, please? Why is everything so tight? I need help. I don't know what I'm doing. In case that wasn't, you know, obvious. Front drive shaft disconnected. So they put this protector shroudy thinger, yep, that thing, to protect like the drive shaft and then the transfer case. So we're gonna have to disconnect that, because basically the way I want to do this, the tranny is being held up currently by a ratchet strap, and you know, it's one of those cheap Chinese ones, so I'm sure it will hold up just fine. And the sun's been fading the ratchet, so the ratchet's getting weaker and weaker, so you know, it's good. But anyways, we're gonna remove this guy, because basically what I want to do is I want to get a jack underneath the back end here, jack it up and get the jack under it, so when I loosen all the bolts and stuff, it's still being held in, so then I can just, you know, release the jack and it'll nice and slowly drop here, and then, you know, the ratchet strap up there will just, you know, we'll snip that and it'll just go clunk, and it'll be like golden. So we need to disconnect, we need to get this out of here so I can actually get the jack underneath the back side of the transfer case. And then if I'm not mistaken, we have a few linkages. The one for the actual transfer case, which is right there. Can you see that? The linkage is right there. That needs to come apart, and then we also need to get the shifter linkage for the transmission disconnected too. But we're getting there. Our shift linkage here, which is this guy. I forgot. The guy that had it before me already ripped the column out and whatnot, so that was just kind of hanging out in here. And basically just had to drop that down. So all we have is the transfer case linkage, which is hanging out back in there, and then it's the bolts for the actual cross member, which is that guy, and then we're ready to drop it out and neat. So yep, 2 things to go and she'll be free. Wait, 3 things, because I forgot the pan for the transfer case. Okay, yep, let's go. Shifter thinger connector madoodle for transfer casing. That's out, so it dropped it down in there. So now, at this point, we're getting close. We're getting real close. Thank you. Anyway, we're getting close, so at this point, I'm gonna grab the jack out of the other truck. That worked. Put that back in there. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this jack, throw it under the back side of the transfer case to keep the back side of the transfer case up. Wow. I'm getting all the cross member bolts out and stuff. And the reason why I'm gonna do that is so when I take them out, if it was to drop, it won't drop on my face and my noggin. So, you know, I try to be somewhat safe about it. I don't have much of a brain, but every now and then I like to try to use it. They're not stuck in it. Okay. Should be it. Oh, including my hat. Give me my hat. Oh yeah, baby. Hoisted her up. Hoist her, baby. There it is. How heavy do you think this is gonna be? Oh, not that bad, you know. I've experienced worse. Oh. Guess what? I did it. That's a wrap. We're done. So if you want to know if this tranny's shot or not, take a look at the fluid. That's how you know she's junk. Probably a pump failure. Maybe? I don't know. So about half of you have probably already recognized the problem that I didn't foresee having until it was made aware of me by someone who actually knows what the hell they're doing. But we learn something new every day here. Turbo 400, some transfer case out of a late 80s Chevy, which is irrelevant because the drive shaft is on the wrong side, so you don't matter. What is the problem with that? It's quite simple. Drive shaft links that's currently in that truck's not going to work. All right, Future Robert here, coming at you live from the part shed. I want to take a moment to discuss the concerns that I had with the drive shaft links and how the Turbo 400 was different from the 700R4, because as time has gone on since that video was initially made, and then I kind of re-spruced it up and re-edited it for you guys here on Boneyard Revivals, we learned a thing or two since that moment. And you can still use the same drive shaft lengths. I know that I was concerned before because the Turbo 400 is, the inch longer than the 700R4, and then, the transfer case and everything else. But what makes up the difference is this guy right here. This is the adapter that adapts the back of the trans to the front of the transfer case. So here is that Jasper rebuilt Turbo 400 a few years later. Obviously, we pulled it back out of the truck when we put the 700R4 in, which the 700R4 that we pulled out of this Suburban is currently the one that lives in the square body. That's the one we got fully built for Power Tour. One of the other issues we had transfer case-wise that we since learned. So not only is the adapter from the back of the transmission to the front of the transfer case important, but one of the big things and the biggest differences, and the reason why we ended up not using, this actually might be that transfer case that came out of that Suburban. The input shaft is a different spline count for the 700R4s and the Turbo 350s than they are for the Turbo 400s. If I'm not mistaken, I think these are a 27 spline count. Both the Turbo 350s and 700R4s, and then if I'm not mistaken, the spline count for the Turbo 400 should be 32. So the input on the transfer case is completely different. So you can't just take that transfer case and bolt it up to a Turbo 400. You can bolt it up to a Turbo 350 or a 700R4, but it won't work for a Turbo 400. So we actually ended up going and finding a transfer case that had the input shaft. You can buy the input shaft and tear the whole case apart and put, the bigger shaft in it to accept the Turbo 400. I was just lazy and just would have rather bought a whole new transfer case. That's what we ended up doing. But I figured I'd just throw that in there for you guys so you knew and you weren't confused. And yeah, hopefully it helps you out. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching as always, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers, man.